We're going to talk about cleaning a barrel today and how to clean it properly. There's a couple of components that people don't realize on what we're trying to clean. So what happens is as the bullet goes down, there's two things happening. One, copper is coming off onto the surface of the barrel, and then the riflings, the lands they call them, they're coming off and it's coating the inside of that barrel. And then the powder residue is also coating, and so as you continue to shoot, you start to get layers of copper and layers of powder, and layers of copper and layers of powder, to the point that it begins to foul your barrel. Because when one is fouled out, it's coated with enough copper where it just will not shoot anymore. And your accuracy is gone at that point. And so I want to show you there is a process you have to do if you want to truly get the copper and powder fouling out. So we're going to go through my process. Everybody's got a little bit different. But I will tell you something that does not work, never will work. You can forget it. It's one of these bore snake things, which everybody goes, that's the way I do it. Well, that's good for keeping a barrel oiled. It will not clean a barrel whatsoever. So let's start with some of the tools here. Now, I've got a Dewey cleaning rod, and I'm not advertising for Dewey, but they are pretty good. And it's got this coating over it, all right, that protects the inner surface of your barrel. So aluminum rods, they scare me. Brass rods, they scare me. I want to, as you go to pushing through, you see how that bends? Well, that's going to go up against your rifling as it goes through. If it's coated, it doesn't make any difference, okay? And but if it's not, you can mess some stuff up. So we start on this particular gun. I've got to let the cheek stock down. We've got to get the bolt out. That's why you let the cheek stock down, is to be able to get the bolt, and we'll set that off. Now, bolt action gun, okay, and that's all we're going to talk about is cleaning the bolt action gun. Anytime you can get to the back side of the barrel, do. Okay, like on a semi-automatic gun, you won't be able to do like this. You'll have to go in from here, which means you had better have a bore guide. Okay, that keeps this rod from touching that out. Very, very important spot on your gun, because you never want to rub up against this. Okay, so we're going to put the bore guide in. This mainly is to keep all the solvents and what have you from being inside your gun or falling down inside your gun. This is a multi-step process. This is going to take time, so we're going to cut some, but I want to show you a couple of key factors. So I've got this Shooter's Choice solvent that I really like. I'm not Hoppies, there's a million of these things out there. But then I had this old Vietnam sniper guy that just, he's an old dude. And he still shoots like a house afire. And he doesn't do a lot of cleaning in this because he says he uses this. He actually was a armorer for a very famous sniper. So he knows a lot. And he takes Kroll, okay? Now, Kroll is some really cool stuff. If you don't have it, you ought to get it. And personally, I think that I think women ought to have this as a perfume. It's so good. But I took 2/3 Shooter's Choice, and I put 1/3 of Kroll to this, and that's sort of what I clean my gun with, except for if I'm working on also copper fouling, which I'm going to show you. So here's how we're going to get started. Now, this is a Jag, okay, and they come in all different sizes for the different guns, all right, and you want your patch to fit tight on here, okay. to help push out the solvent. I mean, push out the copper and powder. And so I got tired of having so many different patches around. So I just kind of, I take a bigger patch. This is a 6.5 diameter. And I could use this patch for, I can't use it on a 223, but I can use it for much bigger because I undersized the jag to match the, to give me a tight fit in the bore. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our powder solvent. And they say this stuff works for copper, but it really doesn't. I mean, it works okay. And we're going to put that right in the center. So we're doing this in my kitchen. Okay, so I got one of my wife's kitchen pans. You know you got a good wife when she'll let you clean away in the kitchen. I also have the back end of this. You might not can tell, but I got it sloping down so that any liquid flows out. And I'm going to do something else once we get going. But we're going to come in here and just, so it's tight, kind of tight. It's not so tight that I'm killing myself, okay? Because you can get these things bad stuck. And I can feel the rifling as I go down. And so I come out, and this one happens to be sized just right. And so here's what we come up with on the first pass. All right, nasty. Okay, and that's what you want. Okay, and so you notice I just went through one time because I want to get the majority of the buildup out. Okay, initially. So I'm going to put me some more on there, and we're going to run through again. Now, this Shooter's Choice has a little bit of copper solvent in it, not much, not strong like what we're going to get to. All right. And I could just pull this back and it'd fall off, but look here. So, that's much better, huh? Let's do that again. And this is a time-consuming process. And it can be very time-consuming, especially depending on how you break your gun in. And if you want to be sure that you get all your copper out, it can take some time if you get behind. If you stay ahead, it's not too bad. Now, I'm just going through one pass, okay, right now. And you see how much better it's getting each time. The majority of this is powder, okay, so we're mostly getting powder off. We are not getting to the copper yet, okay. So now I am going to, and I like to just kind of keep cleaning my rod off because it gets junk on it too, and I don't really like all that junk getting in mine. So I'm going to hit one more time, and then I'm going to dry patch it. And you see it stuff dripping down. That's why you put your wife's pan down below there, because we'd be getting it on the thing. So, I mean, most people would stop right here. Okay, it looks pretty good. Well, we're not through. Okay, we're going to dry patch it. Okay. And then we're going to take a different approach. Okay. So, there we go. Now, it's dry inside. So here's what I'm going to do next. It's best if you send your wife out shopping when you pull this stuff out. But it's real fun if you have your kids around and say, hey, smell this. And we're going to do this with my camera person. What this is a copper solvent. This is Sweet 762. There's a lot of different kinds. I kind of like this one. Guess what it's made out of? Smell that. Huh? almost pure ammonia. And you will know this before long. So ammonia reacts with copper, and when it reacts with it, and this stuff's stout. Okay, and this one particular one has it's kind of a gel. That's sort of why I like it. But it will turn the copper green. Okay, so we're going to run this down through there, and on this one, I'm going to go. Oh, I went too far. And the longer it sits, the more it turns green. So I'm going to run one more through there, and I want to scrub it just a little bit. And you really do kind of want to be away from this, unless you like the smell of ammonia, which I guess some people do. I like the smell of coral. So sometimes what I do when I want to run back and forth is I'll come down here and I'll put my finger gently over here, and I stop right there, and then I kind of mark it. And so now I can pull back and forth, and you see how tight that got? Alright, so I can scrub like the chamber, and I can scrub at the end and get it all in there. So we're going to let this sit, okay, just 5 minutes or so. You don't want to let it sit long. You never want to leave this stuff in your barrel for any length of time, but we're going to let it sit, and then we're going to come back and run a clean patch through and see what happens. So we've been cooking. We've had our ammonia, copper, solvent, sweet 6.2 in there for about 5 or 6 minutes. And so we're going to run a dry patch down through here. You don't want to leave that stuff in more than 15 minutes. And so let's see how much copper I got in there. If I've got a lot of copper, then it's going to come out green and nasty. Or blue. See all that? That's all copper. Okay. That means we got to get some more off. Okay. And so, but that's your indicator. Now, you have to be a little careful that you're not also seeing the brass color coming off your jag. But that's pure copper right there. So what we're going to go at it again. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah. So before I do this, so what I would do at this point is I would, I've dry patched it out. I would go back and do it again. I'd let it sit. I'd do all this stuff. Okay. Until it came out clean. And once it comes out clean, then you've got a clean barrel. And that is unfouled, no copper. But I'm going to take you down another path. Now, this is a radical thing, okay? Because I suspect some of you guys have never cleaned a barrel like this before in your life. And so this is the way you clean an extremely fouled out barrel. Okay, what I've got here is JB bore cleaning compound. Okay, and this is the blue one. So what this is actually an abrasive. It's a lapping compound. So on your really high-end barrels, okay, they go in and they use this to polish it. So it'll polish it like a mirror. And you got to be careful with this. All right, this is not. I don't think this is the diamond lap. On diamond lap, you can actually tear stuff up. You won't tear up stuff with this. And so we're going to become very aggressive with this. I don't personally need it on this, but I kind of want to show you this because not many people know this trick. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our JB compound. Okay, and you see I've done this a fair amount, and this really helps out when you're breaking one in. What this does is it removes time, or takes time down. So I'm going to put just a little bit on there, and I'm going to kind of rub it out to the edges. Right now, y'all know I'm about half crazy, but I had an old gunsmith show me this trick, and it cuts. If you have something really fouled out, it cuts hours and hours and hours, and can be days off your time. So we're going to put it back on a jag. I've got a fairly tight fit. On this one, I want to scrub this. Okay, so I'm going to go back in to about where I know. And we're going to come back out and try not to get too far out that we mess our patch up. So I felt it come out of the chamber right in the throat. The majority of your copper is going to be right here in the first few inches of your throat, and your throat is where the chamber that holds your case comes down, and your bullet is sitting right inside the barrel lands, and that's where all that fire and all that heat and all that pressure is accumulating. So we're going to kind of work this back and forth, and I generally like to work a little further each time, and just imagine that stuff kind of polishing your barrel, because I mean this stuff will actually make it shine like a mirror. Okay, and so we're going to keep on going, and we're going to get out here close to the end. And so if you take this out the end, then you just kind of lost your patch. All right, so I'll take that and I'll work it back, and I work it back like this as I come further and further back, and then I'm through. Okay, and here's what it looks like. Now, this is a combination. The stuff is already gray, but that's actually got some copper and some metal and just all kind of stuff on it. Okay, so we're going to throw that one away. Now we're going back to, we want to clean that mess out. I'm going back to my crewel mix. Okay, and we're going to punch that through and get a couple of clean ones. Once we finish this, then we're going to go back with our copper solvent to almost double check it, which on this particular gun, it won't be much copper left. On some guns, this would take many times. Now, with that said, and so let me finish this before I stop and do it, because I'm kind of doing it in sequence. So I'm going to get me another patch, and I'm going to dry patch it this time. Okay. And so it's pretty close to clean. Now I'm going to go on and put my copper solvent back in here. And, which we love. Just don't get over it. And we're going to let that sit. And then I'm going to show you one other thing. Alright. So let's just get this good and soaked down in here. Okay. And I do a little different. Some people just use one patch whatsoever. And I'll go on and I really want to get it coated good. Okay. And as you can see, when this comes out, I mean, this looks clean as a whistle. Okay. Now let's see what happens over time. We want it to stay this way. Okay. Now, before we leave this, what you saw me do was take JB bore compound, put it on a patch, rub it down through there just a little bit. Now, if you want a more aggressive action, you can take your brass brush and put that on there and scrub your bore. That's for something that is really fouled out, maybe been fouled out for 30 years. So just another little suggestion for you. You can also take they make these little, this is the old one, needs to be thrown away, but these little felt jags, or brushes, not jags, and you can put your compound on there and rub it through. And if you like to spend a lot of time and don't like the compound idea, just don't do it. Use your copper solvent. The only way, though, if you use a powder solvent, you will never get copper out. Okay? If you've got a lot of copper, you go to this high-end ammonia stuff. That's the only thing I know of that'll get it out. So if all you've done all your life is powder solvent, you have a lot of copper left. So be sure and get that out. All right, we're going to let this sit. We're through with our second round of copper solvent. We've let it sit in there about 5 minutes. And we're going to run a dry patch down through it and see what it looks like. And we hope it comes out pretty clean, which it did. We're going to do just a little bit more, and we're going to be through. And then I'll show you how to finish it off, because finishing it is real important too. So we're going to do another round, then we're going to check it. Okay, let's check our barrel. We're on our third round of copper solvent, and that's after we brushed it now. And keep in mind, this barrel is not in bad shape. And so it's not like it was fouled out. Look how clean this is, okay? That's what we're looking for, okay? And so we're basically through. The last step we want to do, real important. Okay, so we've got this ammonia sitting in this barrel. We got to get that ammonia out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another patch, and I might do this a couple of times because the ammonia stuff, it just scares me. Because if you leave it in there, it will ruin your barrel. Okay, this time I'm putting pure coal oil in there. You could run your powder solvent back through there. You really kind of want to finish off with some type of oil, okay, to make sure that it's good and clean. And then before you go out and coal will last in this barrel for a long time. And of course you see how it comes out just clean as all get out. Now because I'm going to shoot this, you don't want to shoot a barrel that still has all this stuff in it. And so I'm going to, and this is fine to even store it as long as you're storing in a dry area. I'm going to go in and dry patch it one more time. Okay. And this turns it into it is ready to shoot now. Okay, so it can be stored or it can be shot. Okay, so what we've done is we have stripped every bit of fouling out. And so all the little cracks and crevices and little microscopic imperfections are now clean, basically. And so we need to foul in the barrel. Okay, because what happens is that copper, especially on a new gun. Now, if this is a broke-in, used gun, but on a new gun, this process, doing it over and over again, polishes the barrel, and the machine marks become smooth. The little imperfections and what have you become smoother and smoother, but it still has those imperfections, and so one bullet down through here kind of fills up those crevices again. And so we foul in a barrel once we've cleaned it to this level until the point it becomes fouled out. Fouled out is when it's got so much copper and powder in there it won't shoot anymore. So before you go out in that first one shot, one kill, you ought to shoot your gun and foul it back in at least one time. A lot of competition guys, they'll clean it and they just shoot it off in the ground, because that first shot in competition matters. First shot in hunting matters, but it's not near as precise. So I'm kind of taking this to the extreme level of competition. Not quite as necessary as for hunting, because you know a group like that for hunting is good, except for at long range, but for the life of your barrel, do this. Okay. One other little tip. Remember we had talked about the crown being a lot of the accuracy of your gun. Never, ever, ever put your barrel in the floor of a truck or stand your barrel up on anything. I see, and I've done it. I didn't know any better. And so you're putting your barrel in the floors, it can get dinged up right there on the riflings, or you get dust in it and it begins to wear that out over time. Never do that. Always your barrel facing up and not on the floor at any time, anywhere. And you will have a gun that will last for generations after generations. That's the cool part about guns, is this gun, if it's taken care of and not shot out, it will last for many generations to come. And so I've got guns now that are going on 4 generations. That's just cool, you know. So I hope that showed you a few things. I hope you'll try this. I think, especially if you got an old gun that you've never taken care of, it doesn't take a lot of stuff to do. And this is just what I'm using. You can use other things. I've tried a lot of stuff, and this is what I like. And I'm an old head, so I don't like too many changes. But give it a try. Let us know. I hope you've enjoyed that, and appreciate you guys. Good shooting. Stay up with BaccOff. Yeah, we like that. Now, Kroll is some really cool stuff. If you don't have it, you ought to get it. And personally, I think that I think women ought to have this as a perfume.